Hello, everybody. This is CJ Wiley with More Adventures on the Road. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast with Strong Arm John and myself. It was brought to my attention that some memories were different about what happened with one of those stories. And, I want to always try to set the record straight. If I'm wrong, I'll promptly admit it. But trying to double, examine other people's memories is impossible because, I don't know that my memories are perfect either. But after talking with Jimmy Wetch, I felt like I needed to set the record straight because what John didn't say was we played four different times with with me giving him the Wild Eight. We played twice in Olathe, Kansas. It wasn't Kansas City, but a lot of people consider Olathe to be Kansas City. It was at Dan Toll's place. And the first time we played 27 straight hours. Okay. And during that time, he got me $14,000 stuck. So I was losing $14,000. At that point, we ran out of money. But I had a stake horse in Dallas, who's one of the biggest gamblers still to this day in Dallas. So he approved a line of credit with the guy, I think it was Dan Toll, that was putting up the money for Jimmy. So it was okayed and gave me a $10,000 line of credit. And I could have got more. I mean, Tommy, or, the guy I'm talking about, has bet 20,000 on me and put up two sets before. So it's, 10,000 was not really that much money to him. So anyway, during that 27 hours, I ended up coming back and we either broke even or I came back a little bit ahead. So after 27 hours, he was 14,000 winner. I came back and let's just say we got even. We rested 10 hours. We started back playing probably 12 hours after we quit the 27-hour session, and we played an additional 18 hours. Now, during the course of that, and I can remember my bones hurt. I mean, after playing 27 straight hours and getting up and starting again, that's what I remember mostly is the pain. But I liked pain. I had myself conditioned to where the more I hurt, the better I played. So I played extremely good the next 18 hours. And I believe I ended up 20,000 ahead. If that number was a little more, a little less, I really can't remember exactly. We played again in Lexington, Kentucky, with me giving him the 8. And I beat him fairly quickly. I think we played, I really don't remember, 7 or 8 hours. And I ended up, another 10,000 ahead or something like that. Then what John was talking about, he talked about two different things, but the part that I totally agree with him on is when we played in Dallas, and he played me at my pool room, and that's where he was talking about, he talked about the table pocket size, and and we played again there, and in that particular session, I didn't miss a ball or make a mistake the entire time. Now, Jimmy Wetch was one of the premier gamblers in the country. That's why people didn't think I could give him the 8. So, John and I talked about a lot of things. And when somebody is complimenting me, I'll just tell you, I tend to shut down. I don't, because you got to understand, see, I was seasoned by the best hustlers in the world. And one of the things that you always got to watch out for is when people are flattering you and talking up. I always underrated my game. I was a professional gambler, and to have the track record I had, it required me to always underrate my game. So when John made me play some of these, really good players, giving them a big handicap, I wouldn't have done it on my own, because I didn't really put myself at that level. John did because he watched from the outside. It's easier to tell how somebody plays from the outside in rather than the inside out. And if you're a professional gambler and you got yourself overrated or even rated exactly like you play, you're not going to have that good a track record. So anytime somebody like compliments me, it makes me feel easy or uneasy, and I kind of shut down because a lot of times, and women know this more than men, is when somebody is flattering you, they usually want something from you. So out in the world, and I'm not talking about John in this particular case because I trust him, and for the most part, what he says is very factual, and his ability to rate games or how someone plays is extraordinary. So, but I still just listen to it almost like they're talking about someone else. So we covered so many topics there that I really just forgot about that particular one. So, like I said, Jimmy Wetch, you know, I have the most respect for as far as a gambler. The first time I played him, I think he was 14 years old up in Minneapolis. I think I gave him the 7 ball. But you see, I think I'm 5 years older than him. So I was 18 and he was 14 or 13 or whatever he was. And so giving him the 7 ball, he just hadn't had the seasoning that I'd had. But Joe Sod was his stake horse, and another great man that I still remember to this day, and a great influence on Jimmy. So, my point is, and after talking with Jimmy, I told him this, and this goes for anybody out there. If I ever say something that you don't agree with, you are welcome to come on and I'll talk with you and put it on my YouTube channel, put it on Facebook for the world to see. I'm not trying to have the perfect memory, and I don't believe that anybody actually does. So a lot of the time, what we see is influenced by what we already believe. And that's something I've overcome as best I can so I can see the world as it really is and not through the lens of rationalizations and justifications and propaganda and things that's been put into my head by people that may and probably don't have my best interest or anyone else's best interest except themselves in mind. That's how come I have taken, with the seventh sense that I have for hustling and cons and being able to see through illusions and trickery. I try to help people now to see some of the big picture stuff. It's not rewarding. It hurts me in a lot of ways because people never will believe when they're being hustled. Like they say, it's easier to hustle a man than tell them they've been hustled or something along those lines. That's my spin on it anyway. So, when you're dealing with people that are extraordinarily smart and clever and diabolically inclined, magicians and enchanters, and that's goes back to the ancient manuscripts. The serpent in the Garden of Eden, that wasn't the name in the original languages. He was called the magician and the enchanter, not a serpent. So I've studied that because I think one of the greatest hustling books in the world, and it's really because of the translations, is the English version of the Bible. I think the original version, I think, is absolutely perfect, divinely inspired. The English version, the biblical scholars say there's 26,000, more than 26,000 translational errors, which are really times where they transliterated words rather than translating them. It's not possible to translate something from fixed languages like Greek and Hebrew into, or Aramaic into English. That's not possible. But I think it was strategically done, and I'm, that's another part of my life that I've spent a great deal of time on to decipher what's actually in those ancient manuscripts, because what we've been led to believe is absolutely not true. I can prove that with absolutely no doubt. I'm confident of that, but anyway, it makes people get cognitive dissonance and upset to even hear the side of the story that I may present and others may present like me. But, I deal with a lot of brilliant people and we all have our strengths and weaknesses. But when it comes to trying to figure out the truth, we all have that in common. We have no, objective otherwise because, and the only reason that I can do that for the most part is I'm wired kind of backwards. Like one of the funniest things that ever happened to me was this one guy, after telling him one of these hustles that he was being deceived by, he said, "Boy, I used to think you were really smart. Now I think you're an idiot." And I laughed. I mean, it still makes me laugh because when I was on the road hustling pool, we tried to make people think we were idiots. That was the whole incentive. And now, I know how to do that in 30 seconds. I can make somebody think I'm an idiot if I want to. Now, do I really want to do that? No, it's not, it's not something, but it's just, I don't get my confidence from what other people say or do or how they feel towards me. It doesn't matter to me, I think real confidence comes from within, and it comes from diligently researching things yourself and proving things to yourself. And if it can't be proven, then I would recommend always being skeptical of it. So anyway, my intent is to set the record straight. Jimmy Wetch is, one of those players that I highly respect. He showed more heart playing me those 4 times. And I think we played cumulatively 80 hours, maybe more, So, that takes a lot of heart to play somebody as much as he did me. And, as much as I say I played some of my highest level pool, so did he. I mean, that's how he stayed so close and how he got ahead of me that first day. But after that first day, he never got ahead of me again. And again, I've sent him an invitation to come on one of my podcasts, and I'd love to talk to Jimmy because I'd like to talk to him about a lot of other things other than just he and I playing, because he got second in the world 8-ball. I think Efren beat him in the finals. And he was one of the top 10 players in the United States for several years. So in no way, shape, or form did John intend or would I ever, talk, down about him. I mean, John respects him just as much as I do. And he brought up Reed Pierce, who's another person that I highly respect and I've gambled with several times. And I respect him because of the heart that he had. Back then, it wasn't just playing ability. We talked about who had heart, and that's the will to win, no matter what. Because when we played each other, we were going to play, we'd put like 10 ahead sets up and put 2 sets up. 10 ahead with 2 sets. That means you had to beat the guy 20 ahead, or you could possibly break even if both of you won a 10 ahead set. But generally we would play for at least 20 straight hours. And my best game was always after 20 hours. After that, I would go into a zone, and that's why I don't remember the shots. I would go into such like a trance, like if you talk in hypnotic terms. And I would play for hours and hours and hours, and people afterwards would tell me that, I never missed a ball, never made a mistake, but I was so connected to the game. And that's, I developed that touch of inside where I could just reach super high levels. Because even though I won against some super good players like Efren Reyes, I consider he and Bustamante 2 of the best players that ever lived. But I would never say that I played the game of pool as well as them. But because of that touch of inside and my style of play, I was able to play a different type of game that was much more offensive, and it enabled me to win against players that I would say always played, we all had different strengths and weaknesses. Some people, like Bustamante had an incredible break. Efren was incredibly creative, and Bustamante had the shot making, but so did Earl and Johnny Archer and Buddy Hall. And, I still think Buddy Hall played position better than anybody that I've ever seen to this day. But, it's a matter of opinion. If your opinion's different, then that's fine. I'm not trying to win in the opinion tournament in life. I'm just trying to make the best impression I can, and if somebody's getting hustled, I will tell them if I care about them. If I don't, I probably won't. But for the most part, if you try to tell somebody that they're being deceived in a category that they're so sure of because they've heard it 100,000 times, then I've pretty much given up trying to do that. But I still care about them, and if anybody asks, I'll always tell them my opinion, and I will back it up by a lot of research and a lot of factual information. Whether somebody believes that or not, again, it doesn't matter to me. Beliefs are formed, and a lot of people believe what they believe just because everybody else that they know believes the same thing. But that's artificial. And I'm just not in that category, and quite honestly, I hope you're not either. So anybody out there, Jimmy Wetch especially, if you want to come on and talk with me and give me your version of any story, that's fine. I'll set it up. So like I said, when I'm wrong, I will always promptly admit it and try to, rectify it. But in this case, I think it was just an honest mistake, and like I said, I didn't know what match John was talking about exactly. I thought he was just off on where, because he said Kansas City and it was actually Olathe, but then Jimmy Wetch thinks Kansas City is Olathe. So anyway, just trying to set the record straight because that's, the right thing to do. And I'm always going to try to do the right thing no matter what the personal consequences. Anyway, this is CJ Wiley. Remember, the game is the teacher.